There are people who have stepped all the way to the edge of life, where every breath might be the last. They are not the heroes written in textbooks, nor the central characters of ancient epics. They are ordinary people, thrown into circumstances that were anything but ordinary. Today, we open a gateway into some of the most extraordinary survival stories ever recorded, stretching from endless oceans to frozen wastelands swallowed by wind and silence. Stories that reveal absolute isolation, primal human instinct, and the quiet reminder that sometimes life still grows in the darkest corners. If you're ready, fasten your seatbelt. We're about to step into the fog of forgotten mysteries. The man who returned from the Dead Sea, Jose Salvador Alvarenga. On the quiet morning of January 30th, 2014, along a deserted beach in the Marshall Islands, two local fishermen saw a figure staggering out of the surf. A man, naked, bearded down to his chest, hair matted, skin burned by sun and salt. His eyes were hollow, as if he had walked out of a dream long abandoned. In his hand, a rusted knife. On his lips, broken fragments of Spanish, a language unfamiliar to the islanders. This was Jose Salvador Alvarenga. 14 months earlier, November 2012, he had left the coast of Mexico on a small fishing boat with a young crewmate, Ezequiel Cordoba. The sea was calm. The trip was routine. But the ocean has a way of rewriting every plan. A violent storm struck. Winds howled. Waves rose like towering walls of black. Their boat was thrown off course, lost in the endless Pacific. During the first days, they survived on what little food and water they had. But when everything ran out, the ocean tested them. Alvarenga caught fish with his bare hands, seized sea turtles, hunted seabirds, and drank their blood to stay alive. He swallowed raw jellyfish. He scavenged pieces of whale carcasses drifting past. Cordoba, young, inexperienced, broke down. His body collapsed. His mind followed. One morning he died. For 6 days, Alvarenga continued speaking to his lifeless friend, as if he were still alive. Only when reality slowly returned did he release the body to the sea. Then came months, 438 days, of hunger, hallucinations, prayers, and the crushing silence of the Pacific. He sang to himself, repeated the names of loved ones, stared at the horizon waiting for a ship that never saw him. And then, one morning, a faint shape rose on the horizon. Land. He leapt into the water and swam with the last strength he had left, crawling onto the sand like a man climbing out of the void. When he told his story, the world doubted him. But ocean drift data, simulations, and polygraph tests all confirmed the same conclusion. He survived. Today, Alvarenga lives quietly in El Salvador, far from the sea, far from cameras. In his eyes, something unspoken still lingers, the memory of a man who touched death and returned. The ghost of the forgotten island, Amelia Earhart. Summer of 1940. A lonely island in the Pacific. Human bones scattered on a white beach. A woman's shoe. A sextant box. A bottle of Benedictine liqueur. Unremarkable objects, until science advanced and they began whispering of one of the greatest mysteries of the 20th century. The disappearance of Amelia Earhart. In 1937, Amelia and her navigator Fred Noonan vanished while attempting to circumnavigate the globe. The final radio transmission cut off over the empty Pacific. They vanished, erased without a trace. Huge search missions were launched. No answers came back. Then, the bones. Forensic analysis decades later revealed a striking match to Amelia's known measurements. Radio hobbyists reported faint distress calls for days after she vanished, signals that sounded like a stranded pilot calling from a deserted island. Could Amelia Earhart have survived the crash? Could she have lived out her final days alone among coconut trees and coral reefs, waiting for a rescue that never arrived? Those bones remain on that island, a silent testimony to a story the world was never meant to forget. The island of broken promises, the little shipwreck. In the Indian Ocean, east of Madagascar, lies a chain of barren islands, the Scattered Islands. It was here in 1761 that the French ship Little met its fate. On board were 140 French sailors and 160 Malagasy captives taken illegally as slaves. When the ship struck the coral reef, nearly 100 captives, locked below deck, drowned instantly. Only about 60 Malagasy survivors and the entire French crew made it ashore. They split into two camps, the oppressors on one side, the survivors on the other. The French used the ship's remains to build a smaller vessel, naming it Providence. Before leaving, they promised, "We will return for you." But when Providence reached port, the promise was forgotten. 1 year, 2 years, 12 years, still abandoned. Attempts were made to return, but the reef and violent seas turned every ship back. Finally, in 1776, 15 years later, a vessel reached the island. It found only 7 women and 1 infant still alive. 8 survivors who endured storms, heat, hunger, and complete abandonment. They had built shelters of coral, hunted seabirds, gathered what they could, and survived on nothing but will. They were taken to Mayotte and granted freedom. But Tromelin Island remains, and always will be, a grave reminder of a promise never kept. The woman of ice and shadow, Ada Blackjack. In 1921, Alaska, a 23-year-old Inupiat woman named Ada Blackjack accepted a job on an Arctic expedition, not out of ambition, but desperation. She needed money to treat her son's tuberculosis. She was hired as a seamstress and cook. The team consisted of 4 young, inexperienced men and a cat. Their destination, the uninhabited, unforgiving Wrangel Island. No people, no supply lines, only blind faith that nature would provide. It did not. Winter came. Food disappeared. The relief ship never arrived. 1 member died of illness. The remaining 3 set off across drifting ice to find help, but were never seen again. Ada remained, alone, surrounded by blizzards, darkness, and the growls of polar bears outside her shelter. She cared for the sick man until his final breath. Then, with no one left, she taught herself to survive, setting traps, shooting birds, hunting Arctic foxes, reinforcing her camp with animal skins. She had never been trained, never been a hunter. But Ada Blackjack, small, quiet, determined, survived where the entire expedition failed. On August 20th, 1923, rescuers arrived. Ada was alive, healthy, and had stockpiled enough food to endure months more. Yet when she returned, she wasn't honored. Her story was twisted. The expedition was commercialized. And Ada, the only true survivor, received almost nothing. She lived the rest of her life quietly, passing away in 1983. A silent figure etched into the icy history of the Arctic. The first footsteps on Antarctica? The lost ship San Telmo. In 1819, the Spanish warship San Elmo, armed with 74 cannons, crossed the Atlantic on a military mission. But near Antarctica, a monstrous storm shattered the fleet's formation. San Elmo was pushed south, into waters no one had ever explored. It vanished with 644 men. 3 years later, Spain declared them dead. But Antarctica hides its secrets well. British explorers later found something strange on Livingston Island. Broken timber, canvas, rusted metal. And more disturbingly, signs of human camps. Fire pits, windbreaks, worn paths, Someone had lived there. If these were survivors of San Elmo, they may have been the first humans in history to step foot on Antarctica, long before official accounts. Some historians look even further back. Polynesian oral traditions speak of voyages to the White Lands without sun, a place of endless ice. One day, if the ice reveals its memories, we may learn who truly arrived first on the last untouched continent. From vast oceans, to frozen deserts, to islands forgotten by time, each of these people stood face to face with death and chose to keep moving. They were not chosen heroes. They were ordinary human beings, just like us. But in the moments when everything collapsed, they proved one truth. The human will to survive is sometimes stronger than despair. If these stories made you think, feel free to share your thoughts below. And if you want to continue exploring strange journeys and unsolved mysteries, don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you in the next Shadow of History.